Yo, Prime members, so check this out. We are here to talk about our favorite thing in the world, and that is Amazon Prime.
That's right. We all have different interests, but there's one thing that brings us together: Prime.
As members ourselves, we found ways to maximize our Prime benefits to get the most out of our passions.
From fast and free shipping, streaming of movies and music, and even exclusive deals and discounts, Prime has it all.
And what's great is that you can use all of these services to elevate your hobbies and interests.
Whether you're a bookworm, a fitness fanatic, or a gaming guru, Prime has something for everyone. I promise you that.
So go ahead, explore and indulge in all that Prime has to offer. We promise you won't be disappointed.
Time to get more out of whatever you're into. Prime. And that's that on that.
What's up, everybody? You are now listening to the Success Playbook Podcast, where we talk about pop culture, life and career success, and of course, we're going to talk about who got dunked on the night before. I'm your host, Chanel S. Reynolds, and I've been in the sports industry for several years. My goal is to take what I've learned from years of dominating the sports industry as a Black woman to help my listeners defy the odds and level up in life and career. Now, let's dig into this week's episode. Hey, what's up, everybody? You are listening to the Success Playbook Podcast, y'all. I am so excited for today's episode. We have none other than the Monica McNutt. Hi, Monica.
Girl, like all caps, Thank you, Chanel. I'm so glad to sit and chat with you.
Of course. We're excited to have you here. We're fans of yours here at the podcast.
I appreciate you. It was so great to see you on the SB's red carpet. So the affinity is mutual.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Before we dig into the questions, I have a little game that I usually play with my guests. Are you up for the challenge?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So the game is called This or That. So I'm going to present you with two options. You have to select one and then just explain why you chose that. So real safe, right?
Okay, I think.
Okay. Podcasts or books?
Books. Because I live with people in my ear. And so a book is something I can do at my pace. I can go back. I can read that again. I can scribble down. And so for me, there's something about being able to turn off all of the noise that is part of my industry.
Yeah.
Books, for sure.
Okay. I like that answer. I haven't heard that one yet. Hot cereal or cold cereal?
All right. So twist. I'm going to go hot because it has options.
Okay, what are the options? What are we thinking?
Girl, I love me a crock pot oatmeal situation in the winter, but I also love a good overnight oats with a little blueberry, honey, agave situation in the summer, and it's all oatmeal. Mm-hmm.
It's getting fancy. I like it. Okay. What is your go-to meal to make? Well, first of all, Monica, do you cook?
I do cook. I'm not necessarily volunteering to do the big Thanksgiving. I did Thanksgiving for my boyfriend and I last year, and it came out pretty well. But I do cook. We're not gonna starve.
Okay, so what's your go-to meal?
Personally, for me, I love breakfast. I gotta start the day off great.
Yes.
And I just keep it real simple. I love sauteed veggies, 2 scrambled eggs, or not scrambled, 2 fried eggs, plantains with some hot sauce. Okay.
I didn't hear any meat. Are you a non-meat eater?
No, but I just don't start my day that way necessarily. If it's in the house, I'm good. If it's there, fine. I personally probably didn't buy it because, girl, food is expensive. She's crazy.
Thanks. Awesome. Okay, that was fun. Thank you for playing our game.
No problem.
All right, let's dig into the questions. So first and foremost, I want to get to know who you are. Who is Monica McNutt?
Oh, man, Chanel. Golly, I'm incredibly grateful. I'd have to say, a child of God, right? I look at my life and the path that I've been able to walk and know that he's had his hand on me in terms of favor. I would say friend, sister, lover, all the above. I think I take a ton of pride in remaining 10 toes down and super down to earth, right? We all have various wins and losses over the course of our life, or wins and lessons, as I like to say. But I think for me, when I meet people, one of my favorite compliments is, "You're just like you are on TV." And I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah. You are. And I can attest to that. When we first met, you were just super friendly, very bubbly. It was hot as I don't know what. You still came over and talked to me.
It was hot. No, it was great to see you. And when Latanya was like, "Oh, that's Chanel," I was like, okay.
So I love how you touched on you're grateful. And I love the piece how you touched on favor, because I'm a woman of faith too. And I have this viral tweet that just kind of it grows legs every other month. It keeps going viral. And it says, networking is cool, but favorite hits different. Like favorite will
100%.
get you in rooms that you're not supposed to be in. Favorite will have your name come up in rooms that you're not in. Like, so tell me about how like favorite played a role in who you are and where you are today.
Man, I love telling the story of my first opportunity with ESPN as an example of that. I was in the throes of an 18-month stretch where I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do this full time anymore, right? I had always had full-time jobs, but this was the first time that I was really trying to figure out how to freelance in this space and do it in a way that you can make a living, right? And so I remember that week sitting in my house, and girl, you know, when things are tight, you become your best budgeter ever, okay?
Oh, thanks.
I had just like paid bills, like the credit card company's calling me at this point because I'm behind on stuff, but I'm like, hey, if you guys look at my past history prior to XYZ date, like I was always on top of it. I promise I'll get back, right? And so I just knew that this particular phone call was a bill collector. And I was always pleasant. I don't know who's on the other line. You never know. But I was pleasant because I think I had also learned to deal in your reality, right? And how powerful perspective was. And I knew that I would get back. I just wasn't quite sure what the path would be at that time. So sure enough, I answered the phone. Hey, Monica McNutt here. And it is a woman who formerly ran women's college basketball at ESPN, Pat Lowry. And so she introduces herself. And I'm like, oh, I know who you are. How can I help you, right? And sure enough, that was a Wednesday. And she needed me to come down to cover a tournament for her on Friday and do the studio show on Saturday. And I had to fly out to LA on Sunday because I had a gig with FS1 and the Big East Network. And so after we do that tournament, we make all of that happen. One of her colleagues, Tanya Eileen, who is still at ESPN, who's terrific, on my way out, she's like, make sure you stop by the truck. Pat wants to talk to you. Pat wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So I hop in the truck. Pat is very complimentary. Gave me a little constructive feedback, which I also love. But she said, you'll hear from us in the fall when we launch ACC Network. And so it took some time because I had to get to the airport, get to the next thing. But it took a while, and I had the opportunity to ask Pat, how did she get my number? And it was a woman who I didn't know that had passed her my resume. It turns out that that woman was formerly leadership at the ACC Network, had got my resume from LaChina Robinson, who was a mentor and is a dear friend now, and just all these little connective dots and connective tissues. And so that's just one small example for me, but I think about now the opportunities that come and that I have to evaluate and see if it's a fit, or do I have the bandwidth? Just because people seem to compliment me with that it. I'm going to go ahead and chalk the it up to favor because I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Favor is the secret sauce.
I agree.
You can't explain it, but it's just, when it's on you, it's on you.
Mm-hmm.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
So you are a Maryland girl.
I am a Maryland girl.
Which part?
Prince George's County. Gorgeous Prince George's. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Pretty Girl County.
Absolutely.
So what is your like go-go song? Like what's your favorite classic go-go song?
Okay, so the classic one is Sexy Lady. But my homegirls and I, we used to always get up for Spanish Fly, CCB. So when that comes on, even now, we like look at each other, but also like, girl, I ain't got the knees and the legs I used to have. So like, that is I think that one brings back a ton of memories from my days in high school and even into college. But Sexy Lady, I'm definitely scheming on the band at my future wedding and then performing Sexy Lady because that's just classic.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly.
I love it. Who are your favorite sports teams?
I root for my home teams. And it's funny because as I chart my path, I once upon a time hosted a podcast with Clinton Portis for the Commanders.
Oh, cool.
Which, although I was driving, what was it? The park from my parents' house, easily 110, 120, depending on what time you're going. And it wasn't a ton of money, but it was a consistent opportunity to help me hone my voice, to help me develop some credibility in the football space, because obviously I'm a basketball girl, and Clinton is still a friend to this day. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity as I reflect back. So I definitely root for my home teams. It's been a little rough with the Wizards because, you know what I'm saying, finally the rebuild has started now that Bradley Beal has moved on. The Mystics, obviously, them winning their championship in, before COVID, 2016? 2016, 2017, whatever that was. I remember being in the building when they clinched and they beat the Connecticut Sun. Like, that was so special as a little girl who didn't miss a game at the formerly known as MCI Center, the phone booth. watching the Mystics. Like, that was really, really special to see that come full circle. And then, I would grab some gear on the soccer teams. And of course, I was at the Nationals parade. Am I up to par on all those teams per se? Not necessarily, but let's go home teams.
I love it. Okay. So this next segment is called Put Some Respect on My Name.
Ooh, okay, let's go.
All right. So Monica, can you walk us through some of your career highlights? So some of those major moments, like, we know you out here doing it, but like, just walk us through some of the highlights.
Oh, Chanel. If I got food in my teeth, I apologize because I had to warm up some Thai food before this. I was hungry. God, you know what? I can't say that this is difficult.
Yo, Prime members, so check this out. We are here to talk about our favorite thing in the world, and that is Amazon Prime.
That's right. We all have different interests, but there's one thing that brings us together: Prime.
As members ourselves, we found ways to maximize our Prime benefits to get the most out of our passions.
From fast and free shipping, streaming of movies and music, and even exclusive deals and discounts, Prime has it all.
And what's great is that you can use all of these services to elevate your hobbies and interests.
Whether you're a bookworm, a fitness fanatic, or a gaming guru, Prime has something for everyone. I promise you that.
So go ahead, explore and indulge in all that Prime has to offer. We promise you won't be disappointed.
Time to get more out of whatever you're into. Prime. And that's that on that.
For me to do, but it is not something that I do often. Because I'm like, there's more to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
There's more to do. And in my mind, I'm just doing my job. And I'm very fortunate to have a job that I love. But I will say on this particular past season, I was really, really proud of my role at the NBA draft. The dual telecast on ESPN and ABC. First of all, a dual telecast is tricky. And so I was glad that my role, we didn't have any major hiccups. But I just love sharing those moments with those families as well. I think when I think of the arc of my career so far, I think being a part of the Olympics in 2021, being up at Stanford, working with Kate, who is the play-by-play at the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, that's definitely a highlight in my career. I think covering the 2022 NBA Finals on the ground, back and forth between Boston and San Francisco, definitely up there. One of my favorite women's basketball moments is definitely calling South Carolina and UConn for FS1 in 2021, I think, as we were getting back to it, when they were ranked 1 and 2. And I got to work with the great Lisa Byington, and it was just an incredible game. And it is so special to me because I remember thinking until like the game tipped that they were going to call me and be like, hey, somebody else is available. Thank you for your service. We'll pay you anyway, but you're not actually going to do it. Like, I just didn't believe that it was going to be my opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that one was really special. I think those are my bigger highlights. Locally, I work for the Knicks at MSG Network. I've been nominated for a regional Emmy, which I think is really cool. But beyond like the regional Emmy nod, the way New Yorkers call my name, like they really know me. Like I'm my neck back. Like, do I owe you money? But for the most part, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, so I don't even have an issue if folks do not find me to be their cup of tea, as long as they're respectful. I think the way that New York has embraced me and shown love is something that is really near and dear. Because I remember telling my mom, like, Mom, these people calling my name like they know me for real. She said, well, you're in New York, so if they didn't like you, you would know that too. And I was like,
that's a
good
fact.
point.
That's
Very
a
good
fact.
point. So I think that's something that I'm really, really proud of. And I'm proud of my expanding role with the Knicks. So
That's awesome.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'll compare New York fans to like Philly fans. Like, if they don't like you, you gonna know. So I think that's 100%. Great. Yeah, that's great that you have the fan base. So you just walk down the street and they just scream out, Monica.
And Chanel, no, it's not just Monica. It's Monica McNutt. Monica McNutt. Like, it's my whole government, right? And it's crazy because there are days where I literally the first day got on the train, came home. So I get it. But then there's days where I got like a hat on, like I'm coming from the gym, doing whatever. And hey, that's Monica McNutt. And I'll smile. I try to be polite, but like, bro, I wasn't trying to be seen today. Like,
that is funny. Okay, famous
girl. No, and it's so funny when it happens when I have family in town. My sister has this whole skit about like people recognizing me, men recognizing me with their women, couples that recognize me together. Like, you got this whole skit on everybody's personality.
I would love to see that.
She's hilarious.
So can you tell me about like your role at ESPN and what does it entail? Like, I know that you are a studio analyst and a reporter. So on a day-to-day, what does that look like?
My day-to-day it varies, which on the one hand I really enjoy because I think it keeps things fresh. But as someone who obviously is passionate about fitness and has a background in athletics, like the routine of fitness is how you gain. But I'm cool with the adventures of my career right now. If I'm in studio, that can start at 8:00 in the morning with Get Up. It can start at 7:30 if I have a Sports Center hit. And then I'm just kind of there, right? Like Get Up, First Take, Sports Center. Formerly, the show's in the 2:00 hour. We'll see how that changes in the future. And if I'm taping a show like Around the Horn, that taping is usually at 2:00 in New York. If I'm on the road, you try to travel out the day before. And if I've got a game, you do your best to get up and go to shoot-arounds, have conversations behind closed doors, find things to add to the broadcast. Then, of course, you've got the game. Usually, if you can, you get out of there right after the game, get back to your house, get back to your bed. But sometimes you got to leave first thing in the morning. But I think for me, what makes my position at ESPN different or unique is that I intersect more than one basketball vertical. I have colleagues that are just NBA, right? Like, I'm also in women's college basketball. March Madness is one of my favorite things, the Final Four. And so that just means there's a little bit of a different pull in terms of where I need to be and what I need to be paying attention to. And then you layer a little bit of Knicks on top of that. And so it just truly depends on the given week, the given day, the assignment. My team, my manager and my assistant, they're incredible. They keep me on the dot because there's been plenty of times that I'm like, where am I supposed to be? And they're like, no, you're not available. You have somewhere to be.
So at what point did you know you wanted to be in front of the camera?
My senior year of college, we were making a run to the Sweet 16. And as we were competitive throughout the course of the year, I was always the one talking to the media. And our sports and information director, Barbara Barnes, who is a friend to this day, she was like, "Man, you're good at this. Like, you should explore it." Girl, because prior to that, I was like some combination of like a chef / nutritionist / personal trainer / conditioning coach. Like, I wanted to do something in like wellness and fitness and all of that. And she's like, "No, you're good at this. You should explore it." And so she was kind of the first person that put it in my head. And then I took a journalism course at Georgetown my senior year. And I remember our professor, Athelia Knight, who was a longtime writer at the Washington Post, the first day of class, she's like, write down 3 questions you're curious about. And one of those questions turned into our final project. And so my question was, why are so many nail salons owned by folks of Asian descent in the Asian community? Which was apropos to me because I'm like always painting my nails. Like, I'm really into my natural nails and whatever. Girl, it took me to like the last day before that project was due. It might have even been the same day to get all of the answers and like finish my reporting. And I just kind of was like, oh, this is journalism. This is the reporting. Like, this is the thrill. And so I kind of had the bug from that class. And then I took an internship. I did an internship at NBC4 in Washington. The sports anchors at the time were Dan Hellie, Hakeem Dermish, and Lindsay Zarniak. And it just kind of started to click. So then I was like, all right, well, I don't think I'm going to pursue a career in the WNBA. I honestly don't think I'm good enough. And I have very few regrets, Chanel, but at least trying. And if the answer was still, you're not good enough, then that's what I thought anyway. But at least trying that is one of the things that I do regret. But either way, things panned out. I had the wherewithal to know that I needed to strike while the iron was hot, coming off of our NCAA tournament run. And so all things considered, things have panned out.
I love that. Okay. So you touched a little bit on your internship. So talk to me about the process of getting your first internship and like how you were able to make your mark there. And I ask this because, and I'm sure you get this too, I get so many aspiring sport professionals like in my DMs asking for the path of, getting their first internship, getting their foot in the door. So tell us about how you got your foot in the door with your internship.
Golly, I don't even remember how that happened. I needed an internship for class, I think. I don't even remember how that happened, but I know we had this really cool producer at NBC4. He's a Tennessee Vol, and if he happens to stumble upon this, I'm so sorry I'm blanking on your name. Cal Baxter. There we go. Cal Baxter was a super cool producer, and I can't remember if I reached out to him informally or we've since years past swapped Twitter messages, just checking in with one another. But Cal was like my goat on my internship. He was the producer that I was attached to. He was teaching me while I was there working. And yes, you tag along with the on-air TV because like that's what you want to be. But like Cal was really teaching me the boots on the ground. I think I can't really remember my process, but I would tell young people looking for internships today to apply to everything, including ones that you think you might not be interested in, because part of interning is learning, right? Like it may not be the exact thing that you think you want to do, but it may open your eyes to a version down the same path that you are interested in, right? Or it could affirm, I don't want to do this, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can get your credit, you can keep it moving. So I would just say apply to everything. And then I think I always say to young people, like you take yourself with you wherever you go. If you have an interview and an internship, it doesn't go well, or you don't ultimately get the internship, the industry is so small, right? So like you could intern at NBC4, they cool with the folks at WSA9, who cool with the folks at ABC. So like if your name is coming up in internship circles, you want to make sure that you've taken yourself with you and represented yourself well, no matter where it is that you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think people realize how small it seems big, but this industry is so small.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do something negative, it will get around. But if you do something positive, it'll get around.
Yeah,
So.
and I think I'm in a place in my career where I can say that our experiences of one another are not all uniform. Even the best of people, like I try to show up the same, try to be true to who I am, no matter where I'm going. But just because you vibe with me doesn't mean that Chloe over here, whoever that may be, vibes with me. And that is totally okay, right? But it takes a minute to establish that sort of clout. And so, particularly early in the industry, being kindness is what they call it. Being kind and easy to work with is what they call a soft skill. And I'm not telling us, particularly as Black women, to let people walk over you. There's a difference. But I am just saying to be mindful of the things that don't necessarily show up on the resume, but can spread like wildfire via word of mouth.
Yes, absolutely. So, and you kind of touched on this a little bit. Now we have the Monica McNutts on TV. Now we have like the Joy Taylors. But I'll say like maybe 10 years ago, we didn't have as much representation as we do today. So was there anybody that you looked up to that was on TV that kind of showed you like, wow, I can do this?
I think as a little girl watching the WNBA, it was Robin Roberts when she was still, I guess she was doing play-by-play in the league, or she might have just been doing some hosting. And that led me to follow her to ESPN as a sports center anchor. So I think that was the first Black woman that I remember seeing visually and being like, oh, like I could do that. Then I think, you start following football, you see Pam Oliver. And then it gets a little fuzzy for me. I think my fandom for Doris Burke started to grow after that because she was covering basketball in the way that I hoped to. Basketball because it was basketball, not divided by women's, men's, college, or NBA. I remember when Doris was covering women's, men's college, and the NBA, right? Now she's just NBA, and it is still surreal to call her a colleague and a friend. I need to shoot her a congratulations text, matter of fact. So then I think I remember seeing Doris Burke. And then I think for me, as far as women having an opinion, it would be Jamel Hill. And then not just women having an opinion, but a woman having an opinion with natural hair and a t-shirt, like doing it her way.
That part. Okay, my lead up question. So you're a beautiful Black woman with beautiful coily hair. How did you get the confidence to show up on TV with millions of viewers to be authentic and show up as yourself?
It's funny to me, when I get this question, I totally understand where it comes from. And it is a great question. But there literally wasn't another way that I was going to show up.
I love it.
Right? And so I think for me, and I had another woman in the industry say that I was given the benefit of the doubt because of my experience as an athlete, which may very well be true. That still doesn't necessarily mean that my path was any easier per se. Now, you can't actually quantify whether somebody gave you a job or not because of your look, whatever that may be. But you can look back at the places that you interviewed and see who they hired and know that they don't look nothing like you.
Yes.
But I remember, again, an assistant coach at Georgetown who was still a near and dear friend when I had decided as a senior, all right, this is what I'm doing. I'm going into media next. And he said it to me with the most love and care. You know how our Black men, our uncles, our fathers be about here sometimes. He said it to me with the most love, but like in the most blunt way that he could say it, but just from a genuine place. He's like, okay, Mom, so what we doing about the hair? And I was like, what you mean? Like, I don't understand. And he was like, you know how it is in the industry. Like, he said, I know you fabulous and all, because that was my thing in college. I was always running around talking to someone fabulous. How are you doing, Monica? I'm fabulous. Don't worry about it. He's like, I know you fabulous and all, but are they ready for you? I was like, well, I got to get ready. Like, the place that wants to work with me will have to accept me how I am. And if that means, I actually don't remember if I said this part, but in hindsight, I probably should have, and it would have been very prophetic. If that means it takes a little longer, then so be it. But maybe some of the youth, the naivety at that moment, I was like, what you mean? Like, here I am. Like, it'll be fine. And for the most part, early on for me, things did really kind of happen quickly. So I love the hair question. I'm happy to champion the Crown Act, and that's been able to show up as we are, the way our hair comes out of our head. But like, there was never, I think my sister had me entertain a wig when I was having conversations about an opportunity in Boston. And I was like, it still has to be short, and I'm gonna go ahead and justify this because it's cold up there. But I didn't get that job, and that wig never came to fruition. But I think that is the only time in my trajectory, Chanel, that it was even like, okay, do I need to make an adjustment?
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we was friends back then, because I'll say, especially when I first started in this industry, like, my hair was bone straight, or I threw on a wig. Like, and I definitely felt the pressure. And I didn't get braids until I was at the top of the sales board, where I was like, okay, I'm making y'all way too much money. You can't do that with me now.
Right.
These
Come
braids.
on, let them know. Let them know, girl. Yes.
But I love that. I love how you've always had that confidence and that like unapologetic authenticity.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that we are using that language, right? Unapologetic and authentic. And as I reflect on what that means to me, I have to give my parents a ton of credit, right? Like Prince George's County, not that we are flawless, but I have friends who have come from other places in the U.S. and look around at the way Black people have the opportunity to live. And I'm not from upper middle class, right? I'm straight like working class, middle class. I mean, I grew up in a single family home with both of my parents, semi-American. I have one sister. We always had a dog. But like, there wasn't a ton of excess for us. I lived well as a kid, but like, I think for me, I did not know there was anything wrong with the way I was. Right. And as I've gotten older, I've had very deliberate conversations with my mom about her putting Black professionals in front of us, Black doctor, black dentists, Black lawyers, just so that we could see the gamut of all that we could be. And I'll never forget, I had a friend tell me when I moved to West Palm to take a job, he was like, oh, you're going to find out you're Black now. And I was like, I went to a predominantly white all-girls high school in Kensington. Shout out to Holy Cross. Love y'all. Went to Georgetown. I got my master's at Maryland. Like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you did all that, but you'll see. And he was right. Because I had taken for granted the plethora and the range of the experience of Blackness, both from, I got a cousin that was formerly incarcerated. Shout out to him. Got out doing his thing, walking the right path, to like, friends that are doctors, lawyers, engineers, professionals, right? And so I had seen the gamut of the Black experience. And in my mind, it was not limited. There was no logical reason that it would be limited. And so that, for me, is probably where I trace this idea of unapologetic authenticness to.
I love that. And I'll say, when I first moved out here to DC, the DMV area, like, I was not aware. I heard about it because I went to Delaware State University. It was a lot of DC people. But I was not aware that it was how it is out here. Like, Black people thriving. Like, we are the presidents, CEOs. Like, it's amazing. And I always say I want to raise my kids out here because I want them to be able to experience that. Delaware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I feel you on that. Like, if I have it my way and I could get home to raise my family, I'd love that. But we'll see where life and career takes us.
Yeah. Yes, that part. So Monica, what advice would you give your younger self?
There's two pieces of advice. One, I give myself currently at this age, and that is to enjoy the ride, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to enjoy each season, because the only thing that is inevitable is change. And so enjoy the season and the chapter that's in front of you. In addition to that, specifically to my younger self, I would tell her to take the time to perfect the craft. Ultimately, that's the way it played out for me, which I thank God for. But I can vividly remember my younger self being so gung-ho, like, what you mean I can't be an anchor in a top 10 market? Like, I'm from here, like, I hooped here, like, I know sports. What you mean? If there was someone in the position to hire me that believed in me and advocated and wanted to help be an agent of change in the industry, could I have done it? I do believe I could have done it, right? But it would have taken a very special person to sort of be willing to be my guardian angel, so to speak. And that just wasn't the case, right? What I do know is if I had gotten that position without said guardian angel and come up short, we, Black folks in particular, Black women in sports, you don't get second chances, right? And so thank God for protecting me from myself, in that I had to take the time to perfect the craft and to get good enough for the opportunities that I have now. But younger me was like, what you mean? I'm ready to take on the world. My journalism principles, I can write, shoot, edit, and do radio content. Like, what you need?
Limba Chicken Chamin, aka Big Wara.
Yo, it's Big Fred, aka Daddy Tuzawadi Podcast.
Kiki Tubafetu, and we are the Sobering Podcast.
Tune in to us every second Wednesday for fire conversations and interviews about South African music, sneakers, and street culture.
Check us out on the Revolt Podcast Network. Shout out to our moms.
And you just can't get the seasoning until you get the seasoning. You just can't fake it. You know what I'm saying? Like, experience is such an incredible teacher. And I know so many of us sort of buck that trend when we're trying to get where we need to be, but I'm truly a believer that the journey is as beautiful, if not sweeter, than the destination.
I love that. You talking to me,
girl? And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's funny that you would say, "What would you tell your younger self?" Girl, I'm still reminding myself today of these things because it sounds good. But there are certainly moments where we're all like banging our head up against this wall because we feel like something should be happening. We feel like we put in our dues and it's not happening. And so I think this has become even more prevalent for me in my personal life, as now like marriage and families are like in the forecast in a real way. You got to enjoy what's in front of you. Like, you got to soak up everything that you're supposed to be getting. And now I have found myself, when I'm frustrated, the question becomes, what am I supposed to be learning?
That part. I often have that conversation too with myself, like, and I'll say it to God, like, all right, God, like, what exactly are you trying to teach me in this moment? Because I know I'm not here for no reason. So I love that you just said that. How do you define success?
I think success is an amoeba. I think success changes. I think for me, I don't think I'm walking this earth just for myself. It's about the impact you can make on others. I think success for me is synonymous with peace. It's crazy, you know, like, I love my job and I'm so thankful for people that rock with me and consider themselves fans. I'm thankful for people that don't necessarily agree with me, but have the energy to tweet. And like, you know, because when we go in the offices and the ESPN is like, your Q rating says XYZ, like, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, like, thank you for them tweets. But I find myself fantasizing, honestly, about a life without this.
Okay.
I think about how long I may or may not do this. And being open to where life takes me and what fills my well and touches my heart the most. And it may not be sitting across from Stephen A. Smith. Like, you know what I mean? And so I'm just so open to whatever this guy has in store for me. Like, whatever it is that life is going to teach me, the ways that I can impact others. Now, do I necessarily think I'm going to leave TV and have an orphanage in a foreign country? I don't know. Seems unlikely to me, but I don't know. But I do think that I have a really healthy relationship with this stuff. Now, I'm trying to get everything I can get while I'm in it.
Yep.
But it is not the only thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 1000% agree with that, even like with my personal journey. 100%.
Yeah, like I say now, I've gone from trying to build a career to trying to build a life.
Yeah.
And a career is just a piece of it.
Exactly. I love that. All right. So we talked about success. Let's talk about failures. Talk to me about an L that you may have taken that has steered you for the better on your success journey.
Frankly, I don't really believe in losses. I believe in lessons. And I know that sounds cliche, but I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
Let's see. A loss that stands out. Girl, it's been a minute since I've been in this thing. I think it's so interesting for me, Chanel, because when you work at a big company like ESPN, it's tough to get like consistent feedback, right? Mm-hmm. And so unless you blow it, like it's just carry on and get to the next thing, right? And so I think for me, as I reflect, there are days where I was better prepared than others, and I can feel that. And so it has become a certain level of personal accountability in terms of being able to put my best foot forward so that people can't check me or find a hole in it, right? Like, if you disagree with how I analyze something or my opinion on something, that's fine. Getting a fact or stat wrong is another thing.
Yeah. And
I'm only human, and girl, I be on a gazillion shows, and like, you get pulled in a bunch of directions. But I think for me, there's not a single loss in this, but like the place that I have challenged myself to level up as I move forward and hopefully move some more of the analyst chair is just in my overall preparation. What does that look like at this level to do it well? Fortunately, there are not any major missteps that I can think of over the course of my career. But there are definitely moments where I was like, well, that wasn't my best call, or that wasn't, one of my best opportunities. How can I improve that? So, and it's also good to have people in your corner that, hey, can you just watch this? Can you give me some honest feedback? Because again, at a monster like ESPN, everybody's just trying to get to the next thing. And so there's a lot of personal accountability in terms of wanting to grow.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. All right. What's next for you, Monica?
Girl.
The orphanage.
What now? I'm really excited. We're recording this pod second week of August. I'm really excited about being an analyst for the WNBA playoffs for 2023. I will have a role through the semifinal round. I hope to get back to the analyst chair. I mentioned my love and respect for Doris Burke. I'd like to do a little bit more Doris Burke in my career pie and a little less Stephen A. Smith. Okay. And so I'm excited about some analyst roles that I hopefully will be announcing in the fall, and just continuing to grow and solidify my talents and abilities to be prepared should an opportunity in the NBA come up. And girl, I'm on the line emailing all my people like, hey, y'all need me in Paris 2024 because your girl is ready. So those are the things that are I'm hoping to add to my professional resume. Girl, personally, trying to grow as a person, as a sister, daughter, partner, child, and back in therapy as I consider if I'm really ready to be somebody's wife. Like, but it's good. It truly is good. Better listener, personally, professionally, really giving people the opportunity to share, right? And I feel for my friends that are empaths that really carry what people say. I thank God that that's not necessarily me. Not that I'm not listening, but it's a little easier for me to give people space and then encourage them and keep it moving. So I just want to continue to grow, like whatever that looks like. I can't quite pin it down. And like I said, I'm open for wherever the ride of life takes us.
Yes. I love it. All right. The ride of life.
Yes, girl. Thank you.
Of course. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chanel. I'm glad that we were able to lock down a date. And I've enjoyed chatting with you.
Yes, same here. Okay, talk to you soon.
All right.
And you're always welcome back on the Success Playbook.
Noted.
Yo, Prime members, so check this out. We are here to talk about our favorite thing in the world, and that is Amazon Prime.
That's right. We all have different interests, but there's one thing that brings us together: Prime.
As members ourselves, we found ways to maximize our Prime benefits to get the most out of our passions.
From fast and free shipping, streaming of movies and music, and even exclusive deals and discounts, Prime has it all.
And what's great is that you can use all of these services to elevate your hobbies and interests.
Whether you're a bookworm, a fitness fanatic, or a gaming guru, Prime has something for everyone. I promise you that.
So go ahead, explore and indulge in all that Prime has to offer. We promise you won't be disappointed.
Time to get more out of whatever you're into. Prime. And that's that on that.